And in today's video, I'm going to share with you all of my hints and tips of what to do to really get the most out of this box file build, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune. I'm going to be recycling a few bits and pieces that I've got lying around, and I'm going to be raiding the spares box. Well, hello there! It's so amazing to see you, and I really do hope that you are well. I'm Kirk. Welcome you up here to Weir Yard, but it's not Weir Yard that we're going to be working on today. No, we're on with the box file build project. Now, if you've been tuning into the Monday Club, you might have come across the box file build that we're starting up. The idea is that we'll have a community model railway where every single one of you guys can have for yourself your own little bit of the Monday Club model railway. Build it in a box file. We've chosen notionally N gauge, but as we said before, OO9 is still perfectly acceptable. It's the same gauge of track, so N gauge and OO9 models can kind of go between each other running on the same track, so that's all right. And in fact, that is exactly what I've chosen to do. So today, in today's video, I'm going to kick off Project Boxfile OO9, and I'm going to show you just how fun and fulfilling building a layout in a box file is. And it's particularly good if you're really short on space, because being in a box file, you can just slide it onto a shelf out of the way. You can have one of these layouts, or you could have more than one. It's a great way of having some really different models. You know, each one of those box files can be something so completely different. It's actually quite liberating to be able to do this, and we thought this would be an amazing opportunity for when we have meetups, whether official or unofficial. You can get together and you can run your own model layout as part of something bigger. So today I'm going to take you through the start of construction of my own box file layout and share with you some of the tips and tricks that I'm going to be utilizing to get an awful lot in a small space. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model OO gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
And I'm going to be raiding my spares box for some bits and pieces and seeing what we can put together for some bridges for either end. A really great way of having the transition to off scene. So come with me and let's see how I get on. We've mentioned a few times about the Monday Club box file layout. Essentially, this means that everybody can have a piece of it. It's that Blue Peter layout idea where everybody feels a sense of ownership. When we have meetups, people can bring along their bit of the layout and they'll all join together and trains can run through them. And we chose N gauge because that just allowed a lot more to get into the space of a standard box file. I've got one here. This actually was bought in Asda, but you can get them from so many different places. They're all a standard A4 size. But you can also do exactly what I'm doing, which is OO9. And I'm more comfortable with the slightly larger 4mm to the foot rather than 2mm to the foot. So I've got a whole load of bits and pieces inside here, which I'm planning to make use of some or all of these, and just show that you can get quite a lot in a small area. Sometimes there's a temptation to try and cram too much in, but actually less is more. And I'm going to focus more on the scenery side of things. And these box files are great because they're easy to transport. By the very nature with a lid, they protect the contents. You can even slide them on a shelf if everything's nicely glued down. And essentially for the Monday Club project, all you actually need is the track passing through in the middle from one side to the other so that they can all be linked up. And it's a great way of being involved, and at meetups people can bring along their box files and we can put them together, run them. You don't even need an official meetup if you know anybody who's in the Monday Club. If you're at a model railway club even with other people who watch the Monday Club, this is a great starting point to put together an amazing model railway. And you don't even have to be constrained by UK outline. You could do US, European, you name it, it's all there. So I've got a few bits and pieces inside here which I've just pulled out of my bits box. So I've got some OO9 buffer stops, turnout levers, although I'm not actually going to be using any points in here. I think I just want to keep it nice and simple. I am going to have a bit of extra track work, but I'm going to use N-gauge track. OO9 and N-gauge, they'll both run on each other's track. But I'm going to ballast over all the sleepers, so you won't really be able to tell that it's N-gauge track, hopefully. And the reason for that is I just don't have any OO9 hanging about. Now, I've also got bits and pieces off some kits that I've built in the past. I think these may have actually just been dumped in here by mistake, so let's just get rid of those. But I've got some of these varigirder bridge spans. These are an incredible product from Wills for making girder bridges to whatever width that you want. And I'm going to use them for the scenic breaks at either end. I think that bridges will be a great way to do it. I've also got one half of a Wills cattle creep, and I used the other half on Weir Yard. But this has just been sat in the spares box for quite some time, and I like the idea of a mining adit over to one side. And what I'm going to be featuring here is a little bit of a mine. So I've got from the NWin's 3D stuff that we reviewed, it came with this little bit of 3D printed track, and that's the track I'm going to use going into the mine adit. And then I'll use some N-gauge, which will be covered with a lot of static grass and such like, to give a suggestion of some kind of siding area, and then the main line coming through. From the NWin's 3D video, I've got the little waiting room and office, and I've got the little office here, the quarry office, and I've also chosen the water tower and coal stave. And I think these three will be more than enough to be able to fill this. I'm going to use some, it's actually a product from Woodland Scenics. You can get this from lots of different backman stockists in the UK. You can get it in the US. The world over, it comes from Woodland Scenics, and Shaper Sheet is perfect for this. You can cut it up and it holds its shape. It's quite lightweight, and I'm going to use that for some of the suggestion of embankments in here. I'm going to get to work now. Just kind of, I think the first stage is just working out roughly where I want everything to go, and it's sometimes you may even find that less is more. You need to actually perhaps leave out some of the items because there just isn't enough room. Don't crowd out the build project. Actually, I might go there, track through the middle, and have my adit tucked away here in the corner, with maybe the track bending round, going behind, and then through the bridge that I'll build over here. So there's still plenty of ways I can really get something good going on here. So I think first step is remove the spring-loaded clip and just cut using a Dremel where I'm going to have the bridges coming through at either side, and then come back, get the track glued down because that's our datum point. We're going to have that across the middle. I'm just going to use Pico Flexi Track and then start to cut the shaper sheet. I'm actually going to use a hot glue gun just to tack it in before I do the actual plaster on there and start to build up the terrains. I spent a little bit of time building up the scenery along the edges using the shaper sheet and the hot glue gun, and this was really quite easy to do. The hot glue gun I already had, it was really cheap, and I used this for the garden railway build for setting the levels on the track, and it's really come in useful in this box file build, really quite firmly getting that shaper sheet in place, and also some of the other scenic items such as the adit, and it really is coming into its own. The edges of the box file I just cut out with a saw. Really quite easy to make some clean cuts. With hindsight, I've made these gaps just a little bit wider perhaps than I needed, but then I've been building up a girder bridge at this end out of some scrap pieces of plasticard, embossed plasticard, and Will's Very Girder kit. Now I had loads of these which I used on bits of Weir Yard when I was building it, and there's quite a few little pieces left which you always as well to put aside for another day, and there was enough to build up this 4-panel girder for the bridge, and it's actually at the perfect height for the lid to close. You can see I saved part of the edging piece of the box file and glued that back in so that the bridge now sits quite neatly in there, and I'm going to be able to use this as a kind of footpath across the railway line. It's wide enough for double track, but the second track at the back there is actually built up from scrap pieces of track. It will be ballasted up, and with the static grass over a good deal of it, the idea is that you won't see the sleepers apart from the one little bit that was from the N-Winds 3D kit, which I've glued into the entrance to the mine adit, and this will be ballasted such that you'll be able to see those sleepers and make the most of them. The other piece of track, I just cut a length of the flexi track to fit from one side to the other, keeping it nice and simple. I want to major on the scenery. I don't want to get preoccupied with getting far too much into here to be able to get a good scene. I think it's quite easy to make it a bit too crowded, so less is more. With all of the bulk of the shaper sheet in place, it's now a case I want to build up at the ends, get the bridges, the tunnel mouths in, and I don't want to spend a lot, so my idea on this is in my spares box I actually had this sheet of they're actually roofing slates, but I'm going to fiddle it so I can get away with this, and I'm going to be using this as the end piece here. So I'm going to work out just what height I need to cut off the top in a bit, but I'm going to also open up the tunnel mouth, and I did think about doing this as a tunnel, but the honest truth is that I think that it would be far better as a bridge, and I've got plans and it'll just be flat to the edge of the box file. So I'm going to just show you the process for doing this. It's where scratch building and kit bashing really is quite good fun. I've already marked out with a marker pen a rough idea of where I need to cut out the tunnel mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just mark that a little bit clearer using a set square so that we can just make sure that we get the sides of this nice and true. I'm going to just scribe down across there and at the other as as well, and we're going to go up until that row of bricks. So it's quite easy to just follow the bricks there. It's just a light scribe at the moment. It's going to be my guide once I get up and running, and just keep going over it very carefully. Slowly work your way through. With that piece cut out, it's already now starting to come together a little bit. There's just a little bit of of mess at the side here. I'm going to just rescribe in some of the brick courses. And then what I actually want to do is make this look like maybe a bridge from the 1920s, 1930s. And I'm going to use some of the leftover girder pieces just across the top. So I'm going to, this is from the Vari girder kits, and you always get loads of these compared to how many you really need. So I'm just going to cut this out, and the idea here is that this will be over the top here. So I'm just going to tidy up that end. In fact, let's work out how far over we need. So I'm going to say 1, 2.5 bricks. So 1, 2.5. So let's make a mark, and then let's get that carefully cut. Now let's get some glue. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue just on there, and a little bit of glue on the back of this piece of girder, and then just very, very carefully 2.5, 2.5, and let's get that in place. And with the rivet detail on there, it's more than just a strip of plastic card. We've actually got a little bit of relief detail. So I'm bringing this back up and sliding that in, and then I'm going to just make a mark across the back. Make sure that's pushed all the way down, and make a mark over there. I think, just to be on the safe side, we'll lose 3 courses of these bricks. With the top of the bridge trimmed, just going to test fit it in there. That's absolutely perfect, so I can hot glue gun this in, and I've also scribed just a little bit of a line on the back so I know exactly where it is I need to glue. So I'm just going to put a little bit on there, and a little bit on there, and a little bit along the bottom as well. Very quickly just locate this, push it down and into place. And the beauty of the hot glue gun is it does take incredibly quickly, and it does form a good strong bond. And there we are. The next job I want to do is to start to build in the rest of the ground cover and just have it sloping down and kind of meeting the ground, probably roughly about this area here. Same on the other side. Now it might seem a bit wasteful using so much of this plastic card like this, but we did need to bridge that entire gap, and I will put some coping stones on there later. Now, whilst I've used a lot of shaper sheet, I've also got this packaging material which came with some electronics products that I bought, and rather than throw this away, I've actually found that this is quite a useful product to actually make use of. It's really easy to cut, and I can glue this with the hot glue gun and just kind of bully this into place. It's really, really good for getting right into these tight, small corners. And what I'm going to do is just gently trim away part of that top and part of that, and that should start to give the landform that I want. So I'm going to trim across about there, and that looks like that's going to work absolutely perfectly. So I'm going to get in with the hot glue gun and just right in the corner there, I'm going to just stick this in, and a little bit more in there, and it's just simply a case of slowly working this in. I've got a piece of foam down here, and what I want to do is stuff a little bit of this in behind, just to provide a little bit of support, so I can just bring the landform out, and there we go. And that also means when I add the plaster, it's not going to squash it all back down. And I'm just going to work now on this side, and again with this I can just use this offcut piece. I'm actually going to find my foam again, and I'm going to cut a piece of this and use this just to block out behind. And this foam is really lightweight, but just gives some of the strength that you need. It's just packaging foam, and just to stop that from moving about, I'm actually going to hot glue gun a little bit down there, a little bit on the bottom, and that's going to go in and into there. Smaller piece, a little bit, and a little bit. I'm going to just put that in down there, and it's simply a case of just getting the ground cover pieces in. Take your time and get it right where you want it, because the hot glue can actually be quite hot. You don't want to burn yourself. You can always use something like, I've got a paintbrush handle here, just to maneuver stuff about. And this is going to be absolutely fine for just getting the plaster in over the top, and we'll just sculpt into there. And there we are. I've got the hillside exactly how I want it. With that foam underneath, there's a bit of resilience to it, and that means when I come to put the plaster on, that's not going to just sink right down and in. And that's something with the shaper sheet, you don't need to do that, but when you're using this packing material, then it's more helpful to have something underneath. And again, this foam, you can use any scrap foam really, just nice light, cut chunks out of it. You don't have to be neat doing it. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to turn this around and get to work on the other end at this girder bridge. And what I've gone ahead and done is had a look around in the scrap box, and I've got some offcuts of this embossed brick style plasticard, and as luck would have it, I've got a piece that's nearly exactly right. I'm just going to just file a little bit off there, and that seems absolutely perfect there now. So that's going to line up just about with the edge there. And on the back, I've got another piece here which I'm going to actually glue that on the back, and that will hopefully then give a depth to the brickwork, as well as a brick texture on the back. So let's go ahead and get that put on. I'll put a cap across the top. Once it's all done, that'll get painted a stone colour, just to give the impression of a capping stone on the bridge. Let's go put that on there. I'm going to just use the file once this is set and just trim all of that, and then that will really quite nicely go in there. There's perhaps just a little bit that I need to take off. What I'm going to do is start prepping. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there. I'm going to put a little bit up there as well. We're back with the hot glue gun, and just going to put a little bit on there. In fact, I'm going to put a little bit on there, and I can just get this in, put the glue down out of the way, and that's going in there quite nicely. Again, let's just make sure that we're not getting any ugly bits of glue stuck to the bricks. And there we have it. I'll neaten up the edge with some coin stones. I'll do that after the plaster work is done and after everything is painted, so it'll go in quite nice and neat. But you can see the ideal here. I'll put some capping stones on and I can start to maneuver the actual scenery here into place. I wouldn't normally use the hot glue gun so much, but this is perfect for this kind of quick and easy project. I'm going to start and do some work on the other side. Again, I don't want to buy anything new, so I'm using more scrap from the scrap box, and I've already gone ahead and cut this out to fit. I will be using separate coin stones just to cover the edge, and that's actually going in quite alright, and I'm just going to get some glue in there just to hold that in. And I'm going to use some speed bond on this just to ease the consciences of those people who think I'm using far too much hot glue. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that in at the bottom, and that should do that nicely. Now I'm going to just see where I'm getting to with this extra piece, and I'm going to use any leftovers behind. So that's going to go in there like that, and I'm going to use whatever's left here, get that all into play. Again, it's just a really quick and dirty construction here. So that's going to be the back of that wall, and then it's just the same as before. I'm going to build in with the terrain, get that all fixed into place, and then we can finally move on to the next stage. With a little bit more work, I've got the other half of the bridge all put together. It does look a little bit rough and ready at the moment, but once it's all painted up, I'll have the steel work in one colour and then do the bricks in an appropriate colour, and then weather everything down and put on some coin stones as well just underneath. It's really going to start to come together. I've also built up the subterrane in the corner using some foam underneath. I actually used my staple gun just to hold things together whilst the PVA dries. I ran short on hot glue gun sticks, and it's now pretty much ready for the next stage, which we'll come to in the next video, and that is doing the plaster on top of this, and then we can get down to business with ballasting of track and placing in the buildings and doing some of the grass work as well. It really does come together quite quickly. Well, I hope you really enjoyed part one of this build, and certainly it's going to be a great little project, and you could already see it start to come together. We've got the actual landform in there. The hot glue gun actually was really useful to get that all stuck in, and it makes it quite durable as well. And that's one of the beauties of the box file, is that when not in use you can actually slide it onto a set of shelves out of the way. Really easy to store. The lid of the box file as well keeps all the dust out too, so it's a great way that you can have your own little mini model railway. And also, whilst we've chosen N gauge or OO9 because the locomotives in stock from each of those can run on each other's track, it doesn't mean that you have to stick to that. If you really want to try something different, maybe try double O gauge, and I've even seen people do O gauge in a box file, but you have to be quite careful how you plan that out. In the next video, we're going to be continuing on and starting with some of the ground cover, and I'll show you just what I've got in store in terms of static grass, ballasting, and really starting to make this scene come together. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Maybe let me know just what you've got planned for a box file build. It's always fun to share ideas, and maybe you'll inspire your fellow modelers. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take great care of yourself and happy box file building. Bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Train-O-Matic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model OO gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.